think this is kind of boring, you can really just skip it. What? If you don't want to just be surprised at how many abilities I'm going to give him. Which I'll probably stop after defeats the wolves. But that's about it. But yeah, this is the day he's ready to face the spider boss. He would have a special design sword. He has been able to. He gained the ability to transform from killing so many monsters that he dresses up or transforms into a hero. And if you take carcasses to them, you can get money. And he has been doing this with all these monsters, which he picked a really strong hero where if this is only like how many times he kills these things is only like 5% of how much he kills. I'll say he dresses up as an endeavor because he can show off his flames if he wants to. And he can kind of blend in because he can do the whole endeavor body thing. And endeavor does take down a lot of them. And all that. So that's why. But yeah, so he would get a lot of money from this. And I'll say there's also rations in this, where he can also turn some of that stuff into rations. And what he did is that he got a stockpile of food that he built. He pretty much has a base. I just had to tell you this. That he built stuff underneath the wall. And yeah, he practically has a lot of stuff from the money he's getting. And if he wants to, he can get a lot more carcasses. Because he's not doing too much. But I'm talking about he gets a lot of money. He's loaded. He built a whole base. That's where he's doing all this stuff at. And Deku, every time he levels up, he doesn't really notice, but he gets ridiculously more smarter. And that's where he comes up with the way to create more slimes. But the slimes don't do much. They're not that special, but I'll say he kind of makes a sort of like a lotion slime, but all it does is it increases oil like stuff on the ground that's really slippery. But its weakness is that foam, whenever it touches it, it would come up. So something like a fire hydrant, not a fire hydrant, but you know those little things on the side for kitchens. That's really useful against them. So he would put foam around their cage to stop it. But he would get this, and all he does is use this for is that he uses them as whips, sort of. But yeah, he wanted to create a water slime, but he got this. But he uses his wind to shoot them out, which all it does is shoots up back and forth. But after about, I say it's about 3 months, and he has created the water slime, and he creates a whole bunch of them out of green slimes. Because green slimes are the most common, and he can break off pieces to reform a smaller one. But yeah, so this is his abilities: water, fire, wind. He also has a growth ability, regen, and his regen is strong enough to almost reform a whole arm by now. Or I say it stopped leveling up from the white slimes. That's why he's been using quite a bit of different slimes, because any slime can be transformed, so pretty much all the slimes are useless now, except for experiments. But yeah, so he would get to the spiders, and the spider has a cave. It would sense him jumping because he already gained all the thread. He wouldn't be able to gain any good thread abilities from the weak ones. He can probably only shoot like 2 threads, so he says I just have to take it down. But he would be able to pretty much just be jumping on the threads because he can see them, because he does, just because of his like abilities to see them, and he can move really weirdly like a snake through everything. So yeah, he would get there with it walking out, feeling him touch a whole bunch of threads. It would swing its claw, going to stab into him. With Deku doing some research on these things, he would take his water into his hands, and he would take pretty much like a pick, and he would jump onto it, and he would go up the arm, running and jumping, and he would get up it. He would create a hammer in one hand, hit it, he would stab it and hit it in, and he would do this for all 8 legs. This is whenever he would run at them. He would continuously kick these same things until he comes in with a bat again and smashes one into, and this would cause his shell to break open on his arm or a part of it. He'd continuously do this until his arms are spread out. Whenever the thing notices it, he would shoot out threads everywhere, which these would be the cutting threads, which Deku knows about, so he would instantly put up his arms, covering any or he would have metal plates on his arms now, and he would cover his head and stuff because he has his tendons cut too many times from these things. That's what they're mostly used for, to cut tendons on humans, where they stopped using their limbs that he built armor or made armor for him. So, and he has, because he's been hit by a lot of these, but he regenerates, taking a full frontal attack with the thing swinging his arms, sending it at him with enough force to smash him into a tree, breaking 10 other trees behind it, making Deku cough up blood and drop to the ground. But the thing would swing at him with Deku, using his wind to protect himself for a little bit. But after 3 strikes, it would break with him jumping off. And that's whenever the metal thread, or the threads that he had, Deku's been touching these things and jumping on them because he has metal boots. Pretty much, you know those gauntlet things that he had from UA? He has those. And what this stuff does is that he can store wind into them, creating shockwave attacks. So he would hit it using it, kind of how, Rentino does his jet. That's what they were made for. Using airwalk added to it, boosting him forward. He would kick it, and that's whenever he would swing around using water. Same water blade. And he would shoot a blade, hitting it, or hitting the piece where the armor is broke, cutting one leg off. With the thing swinging, smacking him again, cutting his thing. He says, I have no time, to break off one leg at a time, taking the leg, saying, if I'll just break your armor with armor, running at it, dodging by sliding from the attacks, and he would take the wind, water, and he would use the water from the tip to pierce it, and he would put it up using the wind to blast it upwards with the push of wind constantly by palming it, and this would break his shell from underneath with it stabbing in and Deku hit, running in, spinning, hitting the ground, jetting upwards from underneath him, kicking it, smashing the limb right into him, impaling it completely, with Deku falling down, and he broke his foot by doing this with that much force. So he never had to deal with broken limbs before because it's smashed completely, like it's throughout his body, and every time it moves, it would cut deeper and deeper. Deku would say this will take too long to regenerate compared to it completely being cut off. He would take his blade, and this whenever he would chop down with the spleen going black with blood hitting it. And that's when you see Deku limping on trees, going back, and all the spiders kind of spread out because of him walking back with no leg. And he would drop into his base from a hole, swing down and drop down, smashing his leg, saying, "Oh my fucking god, this goddamn hurts." He would lay on the bed, and he would wake up 3 hours later, and his leg would be back with no pants, saying, "My pants ripped again." Or he would have pants, but he had blood on it. He would change, take a shower, and he would cross out the spider, saying 1 and 2 done. And he says, "Which one?" He says, "Now I'm gonna go for those hellhounds." Saying, "Good thing I got this water ability now, because water should work good against them." And all that. And he says, "I just need to make more." Walking over, feeling his legs just to make sure the bone's there. Then feeling it, he says, "I'm alright." Start making more slimes out of them. And would make more batch of water slimes, slaughtering them. And that's whenever he slaughters the last one, and he feels it. He feels that all of his energy, that's the max, he says. And yeah. So right now, what this last patch gave him the ability of is water creation. Water creation, I get that he already has metal creation, but metal won't work against any monsters in the future. Just telling you that. Metal's useless. That's been proven by the heroes. After he hits about 1,000 meters, they would be useless. So yeah. Dude, I can just turn this to my own anime. I don't even have to make it freaking My Hero. I could have gave him a random name and make my own anime. Literally, that's what I kind of did, but I'm still gonna get into My Hero later. That's where I'll leave it off. Goodbye.